What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Little Scale Cars YouTube channel. Today in the review box, we have the Porsche 963 LMDh GTP HyperCar. This one is the Jota Sport variant. It runs in the WEC and the 24 Hours of Le Mans being its biggest race. So let's go ahead and take a closer look at this one and see if it is worth adding to your collections. Alrighty, so let's get started by looking at our casting and proportions. Proportionally speaking, I am very happy to report that this one is done very nicely. So this is Sparky's first little LMDh car, and right out of the gate on par with MiniGT in terms of scaling and proportions, which is what you really were hoping to see. So we do have, oh, hold on, let me pop the real life car in the top right hand corner there for you, so you can get a little bit of a comparison. I'll see if I can try to angle it a little closer, something like that, whatever. So, as you can see, though, it's pretty good and pretty accurate. Let's break the casting down now. And pretty much everything you're going to see up here is going to be metal, except for this little, like, roof section. You can very, very slightly see the seams here of where the plastic for the roof kind of starts, just so they could get a little more of that extra detailing in there and make the windows very nice and all that. Everything else, though, you're going to see is going to be metal, including the base. The base is metal on this one. The shark fin, obviously going to be plastic. Hood scoop, obviously going to be plastic. And the wing is obviously going to be plastic, as well as your mirrors. Everything that you would pretty much expect to be plastic is. Now, our skirt is going to be implemented into the base, as well as the floor. And so is kind of our diffusers and exhaust area back here. So overall, casting done pretty nicely. When we look up front here, especially at this area, you can see that the detailing in the casting itself is actually very intricate. I would say it's actually a little more intricate than a lot of what MiniGT's HyperCar offerings have been giving us. So definitely interesting there. I'm a big fan of it, in all honesty. So for our paint and deco, I think this is supposed to replicate the 2023 season, the Jota Sport, Team Hertz, whatever you want to call it, Porsche 963, and it does so pretty good. You get your Jota logo up here, you get a little Porsche logo, you get your HyperCar decos, all your sponsors and everything basically in the places that you'd want them to be. Noticeably, no tire printing, and that does kind of, no Michelin, like what I mean. And that does kind of stand out, especially when you look at it next to a MiniGT LMDh car, and those do have the tire printing. It's a little bit of a bummer, but everything else, logo-wise and deco-wise, is pretty much on par with what you would expect. However, it should be noted that there is a 2024 season deco coming out that does have those tire printing. So that is definitely something to think about. Moving into our details, starting up front here, we do have very nice little plastic inserts for our headlights, which is very, very cool. And we do get a little Porsche logo there. And then looking down here, it will be tough for you guys to see, but wait for the pictures at the end. There is some sort of intaking there, and I don't see any meshing back there. And these actually go back pretty far. You can see I'm actually sticking my toothpick through one of those things. So very cool looking, but yeah, making our way down the side here. Not much to really speak of that we haven't touched on. We do have accurate wheels, but again, no tire printing or anything like that. The kind of cutouts here look really good, really nice. Interior actually is a little bit more detailed than I'm used to seeing from MiniGT. It's still so small, those windows, it's hard to tell, but when you see it in hand, it definitely looks pretty cool. Again, as we make our way to the rear section and we look at the top, the casted detailing is phenomenal. You got some exhaust coming out here. And then coming out to the back here, we have our rear reflectors and tow hooks and everything. Not really painted. So the actual taillights have been given a white paint, which, I don't know, it does not look amazing to me. Especially when you compare it to the BMW from MiniGT with the red detailing. And then here's even the Cadillac from MiniGT with the red and the tow hook painted. So the rear is where I would say the detailing kind of lacks a little bit there. But let's get some closer looks with some pictures. Moving into our roll test, as a lot of you might not have Sparky, I am happy to say that Sparky models do roll, and they roll very nicely. This one in particular rolls extremely nice, definitely on par with a MiniGT. Went ahead and put this one on the scale, and it comes out to be 43.25 grams. So the car is actually pretty large, as you expect these kind of cars to be. But the weight is not quite what I expected it to be, which is interesting, and I'm not really sure why. Pros and cons, getting started with our pros. For starters, this is the first way to get a Porsche 963 into your 1/64th scale collection. MiniGT does have one on the way, however, it seems to be taking an absolute eternity to actually arrive. There are some other decos out from Sparky. There are the LeMans kind of homage liveries. The rainbow colored car is basically out. But this one is the favorite for me personally. The other big pro is going to be the casting is absolutely perfect. I am in love with the casting. I think they did a phenomenal job casting-wise on this particular car. For our cons here, there are a few that we should probably talk about. First being the no tire print. We did kind of touch on that a little bit. And just when you put it side by side with like a MiniGT, that lack of tire printing actually, it does make a pretty noticeable difference in my opinion. It just is that one little extra touch to add that realistic factor, but not the end of the world. And then the other con that I would kind of bring up is perhaps the lack of rear detailing. Not so much the lack of rear detailing, but perhaps the execution of that rear detailing. It just doesn't pop and doesn't look quite as nice as it does on the rival MiniGT, their LMDh cars. For some quick size comparisons, here we have it with some Hot Wheels Porsche race cars, with the Porsche 917KH and the Porsche 962. And then here we have it with the MiniGT competition, with the BMW LMDh HyperCar and the Cadillac LMDh HyperCar. So, for the overall score, let's break it down here. Hype level, I can only give this one a 9.2. When this one was being released, we already knew that Jota was going to be switching to Cadillac, so that kind of made a lot of people think, well, now this one's outdated, maybe we shouldn't buy this one. I was kind of on that team, but I decided to go ahead and get it anyway, because as of right now, the only ways to get the Porsche 963 is from Sparky, and it's this livery or the LeMans livery from 2023 that I don't personally like. And even though MiniGT is making the IMSA liveries, they are going to be starting off with the kind of homage liveries, 2023 Le Mans, whatever you want to call it. So it could still be another 2 years or so before we get the proper liveries, the proper IMSA liveries. Now, execution, I'm going to give it a 9.75 because that casting is so good. The rear detailing could have used a little work, and tire printing could have used a little work. Feedback, I'm going to give it a 9.6. I think a lot of people, especially with the tire printing, have kind of agreed with me there. So when we take these three scores and add them up, average them out, we will be ending up with a 9.52 out of 10 as the overall score. I think that is a very solid score for a very solid release and an absolutely damn near perfect casting, in all honesty. I would probably not even be worried about the MiniGT if I wasn't specifically collecting the IMSA liveries. I prefer the IMSA kind of liveries because I'm an American and that's our series over here. So there are making some updates here, though, that we should talk about. So Sparky, first off, they are making the WEC regular season liveries for the Porsche. So if you want those, they are coming. They are also doing an update to this one. So you will see tire printing on the updated version. And you will see, actually, I'm not sure about the rear detailing, but you will see at least the tire printing. So I think that Sparky really knows that they could have done a better job with this, even though they did a wonderful job and it was still worth every bit of the $20 I spent on it. They could have done a little bit better, and they know that, and they are going to be remedying it in the future. I think it's going to be a 2024 deco, so it's going to look ever so slightly different. Just a touch different, but overall it's going to be more accurate, and I think that that one is worth waiting for if you want the Jota Porsche. Just wait for the new version. This one's great, but the new one is going to be better. And then there is, of course, more liveries down the way if you prefer the regular Penske Porsche liveries. And with all of that out of the way, that is all I have for this review, guys. I hope you have enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you leave a like. subscribe if you are new, and make sure to leave a comment telling me your thoughts on this particular model down below, and I will see you in the next video.